Hello YouTube, Moose Cow here, back with another customization video. This time I'm going to talk about my cigar box, income tracker, and roundel storage combo. I also have a little turn tracker strip, which I will talk about as well because it plays into this. And I keep it in here, so it makes sense to talk about it. So, the idea for this came about originally because I wanted a storage method for roundels for all of my World War II Axis Allies games. So that way I wouldn't have to have, theoretically individual roundels in each box of each Axis Allies game. Instead, I can just pull the game down off the shelf and then pull this down as well and use what I need from it, right? So that's just the general idea of that I had. And I actually had this box sitting around for a number of years before all of a sudden I had the epiphany of what to do with it. For the record, I don't actually smoke cigars. I have no idea if this is a good brand of cigar or not. So if you're watching this, let me know in the comments if this is actually a good cigar or not. Because I certainly don't know. But anyway, yeah, I realized that this cigar box, this company doesn't make this specific type of cigar box anymore. They, as far as I can tell, they don't have cigar boxes with these kind of rows anymore, and that's a shame because these rows really are the perfect diameter and width for these roundels, and so they fit in here perfectly. Like, I didn't custom make or 3D print this tray or anything. This is what the box came with. And so that just kind of came together really quickly right there. And then I got the idea to, like, hey, let's save some space, throw an income tracker on here. And so I magnetized an income tracker. And so all these roundels up here are magnetized with 10mm by 1mm magnets from apexmagnets.com. I really like these magnets. They're very strong. And so I highly recommend them. They're apexmagnets.com. Right now I got the BB4 setup, starting setup up here. And the roundels on this side are the roundels I use for the income tracker. The roundels on this side I use for my turn tracker. So the turn tracker is really simple. It's just this is my way of keeping track of whose turn it is, and a visual way to keep track of whose turn it is, and also what round it is. So you take a die, if you're playing BBR, take a die, and if, say, this is here, then that means it's Japan's turn, round 4. And then it progresses China turn, round 4, right? Very simple. And if you want to play longer than 8 rounds, well, here's a 12-sided die, and also there are 20-sided die if you're playing out of box or whatever, but I don't really do that anymore for the most part. Don't have the time for that, like a lot of people. Anyway, so what this is just a painter's stick. I took a little saw and cut the handle portion off, and then I put a strip of ferrous material, which is what I used to magnetize things with. Ferrous is not magnetic, but it's something that magnets adhere to really well. For instance, here is a sheet of ferrous. This is what I had. I trimmed it, but this is what I had. What I have in the back of this, on the lid of this box. So magnets adhere to it really well. It's pretty cool, right? So anyway, so yeah, that's basically that. And then, so there's a strip of ferrous in there, and then I wrapped it with gaff tape because I use that for work in my industry, film and video industry. And then I put some black moleskin on the bottom of it, so this doesn't scuff the map at all. Glides very nicely. And so this usually just lives in the Indian Ocean, out of the way, and then for storage purposes I just put it back in this box. Yeah, so that is the turn tracker. And what did I say? Yeah, all these magnets on this side are for that. All those magnets on that side are for this. And then we have the individual rows of roundels after that. Let's see where to go from there. So like I said, this is the BBR4 setup right now. We got out-of-box Russia, out-of-box Russia, out-of-box Germany, Spain, Japan, CCP, Italy options, plethora of Canada and Anzac Commonwealth options, as you would. Then we also have Vichy France, Free France, Turkey, and I've got my Simpsons Anzac roundels. Matt Todd made these for me. He did great work. These are awesome. Shout out to Matt Todd. Really love that you did this for me, man. This is great. So I have that goofy little option of mine as well. And then down here we have, corresponding, we have the out-of-box German roundels, which again I don't really use much anymore. I don't actually have, this isn't actually a full row of them. It's just I had some extra UK stuff. I was shuffling things around, so I just there's a like extra UK and Japanese roundels down here if need be, but they're just kind of there right now. So this row I almost never use anymore. The fascist German roundels, the forbidden roundels, as I like to refer to them as. It's nice to have them, it's fun to have them, but I don't really use them either, but it is kind of cool to have the option to, and I just use this one to keep track of the Reich point. On the, speaking of which, on the turn tracker, or not turn tracker, income tracker itself, there's a few little notes to have. Oh, sorry, this actually should be here, but for what I have to talk about, I'll come back to that anyway. So right here we have 2 red dots, and those correspond to things for Japan, and then these 3 black dots correspond to things for Germany. So that's the Reich point. 70 is the Reich point. So if that tracker reaches there, you know that Germany has the Reich point. This is the imperial point for Japan. This is in BBR3, 53 IPCs is what turns Chile and Argentina pro-Axis. In BB4, this means Argentina becomes activated, and then this means that Chile becomes pro-Axis. And then 36 here is if Japan dips below that, or hits that or dips below it, then the kamikazes get activated. And that dot has been important more times than I can remember, because that one of the bunch is the one that is the most overlooked or forgotten about, I find in my experience. So those dots are very helpful. But in the starting setup, US does cover that one. So anyway, that's why I just had that one. That's why that one was in the wrong spot. But anyway, that covers that. And then in carrying on from there, we have the BBR German roundels. We have Spain. We have the common turn roundel options. We have out-of-box Russia, BBR Russia. We got Republican Spain. We have CCP. One of these days, my goal is to come up with a cool way to incorporate CCP in some manner that makes sense. And then we have Japan options, BBR3 and out-of-box, and then we have BB4. And then down here we have, these are kamikaze dice. So Sire did this. He made kamikaze dice, and then I came up with my own little option of making kamikaze dice. And I saw that I think he does this where he has them on either side like this, rather than a normal 2 dice where it would be where they would be next to each other. So I saw that he had them like this, so I just kind of copied that. And then we have U.S., China, the max amount of Chinese roundels that they would need. UK, fascist Italy, out-of-box Italy, Commonwealth / Pacific UK or whatever, what have you. And then all the different Commonwealth and France options. I did have the original Anzac roundel in here, but I jettisoned it because I have a BBR style out-of-box map. I would just use that instead of playing on the original folding boards and stuff like that. So I would pretty much never use the out-of-box Anzac roundel. So to save space and move things around recently, I jettisoned that. Then we have my out-of-box, my custom Simpsons ones, out-of-box France, and we got Vichy France. Now, one more cool thing here, you might be wondering what prevents things from slipping and sliding if you're taking too many roundels out. Like say, if a lot of UK stuff gets taken out, what prevents this stuff from sliding? Well, that's a really good question. Here, let's just take all these UK ones out, and I'll show you. So as you can see, it hasn't moved. So what I've done is in each one of these rows, there is a strip, can you see it? There's a strip of Velcro in there, and these are all out-of-box dice. I've used red ones for Axis powers and black ones for Allied powers. And then there's Velcro here, there's a little bit of Velcro on the dice, and then there's a little bit of double-sided tape on the other side of the dice to keep this roundel on to identify it. So this isn't going anywhere. That stuff's not sliding at all. And same thing here. You know, that's not going to move. Things aren't going to be shifting back and forth and stuff like that, you know. So that is really nice, really handy. And that was my little visual touch, you know, to find a way to use those out-of-box dice for something, you know. So that pretty much covers the components, I think. Oh yeah, one more thing. So obviously I cut this IPP chart down and I used black gaff tape. I didn't paint this box. I probably could paint this box, the inside of the box. Maybe one day I will. But yeah, there's black gaff tape here and here, and even on the inner sides, right here, even on the inside of the lid, is black gaff tape. And this, as you see, there's a ribbon which I coincidentally had, and it also matches with the IPC chart pretty well, which is, I think, pretty sharp. That's just stapled in here. So if you took this tray out, this ribbon would be stapled into the wood on the inside here and here. And it's important to do that first so that you don't scuff the tape up. And then, so staple that first and then put all your tape and stuff down. And then the same double-sided tape that's here, the strips of that are what's holding this chart up there. And the ferrous sheet is strong enough with those strong apex magnets. It's strong enough to just stick through it, stick right to it, you know. So that is my cigar box income tracker. Oh, one last thing. On the very bottom of it, there are a few chair pads. So it doesn't scuff your table, it doesn't scuff your map. And then when you're done, just stick it back in here and close it and put it away for another day, you know. So, all right, that about covers it. This thing is my pride and joy. I've brought this thing to every BBR tournament that I've gone to. I have brought this and have gotten compliments. I've had people online ask me if I'm interested in selling these, and I wish that I could just go to the store and get this exact style of box, because this is the perfect box for it. But again, the same company doesn't make boxes exactly like this, but I'm not opposed to trying to come up with something in the future. I just haven't gotten around to it for the most part. But yeah, love this thing. It's always a hit whenever I bring it, and it adds a lot of class to the table. This thing's awesome. One of my earliest customizations, and one of the ones I'm the most proud of. I haven't seen anybody else who has a cigar box income tracker. Maybe one other person actually who got inspired to make one after I posted it on like an Axis Allies Facebook group. But outside of that, I haven't seen this like taken off. We all have like custom table, like, you know, a lot of people have like custom homemade tables showing off their carpentry skills and stuff like that. This is my conversion skills, I guess, on display here. So yeah, I love this thing. I love this thing. I don't know. I've run out of things to say. This thing's awesome. It's great. It's a lot of fun changing things around. It's a lot of fun finding another use for magnets, and you know, all that jazz. So anyway, till next time, everybody, roll the dice better.